It's 2021, and the memories of the devastating effects of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 won't be easily forgotten by many. The truth of the matter is that the virus stopped our lives in so many different ways, but it didn't stop cancer. Hi, I'm Stephanie Anderson, and welcome to the Main Health Show. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Did you know that as of January of this year, 2021, there were more than 3.8 million women with a history of breast cancer here in the United States? Well, today, I have the pleasure of visiting with the Executive Director of the Look Good, Feel Better Foundation. The Look Good, Feel Better is an international program with over 30 plus years. We're going to have her to expound on that, but it has a history of 30 plus years of bringing exemplary service to women who are being diagnosed with cancer, and she's going to share how they help that demographic of women. We're going to learn, of course, about the program, how it's going, and those special volunteers that make it work. But to better find out a little bit of information about our speaker today, we're going to share a little bit more. As Executive Director of Look Good, Feel Better Foundation, Louanne Roark is responsible for all aspects of the foundation's operations and its signature Look Good, Feel Better program. Roark joined the Look Good, Feel Better Foundation in 2005 from the Washington, D.C. office of Ketchum Communications, a top 5 global communications consultancy. She originally joined the Look Good, Feel Better Foundation in the early 90s, fulfilling the roles of program manager, associate director, and director, and helped to establish and significantly grow the Look Good, Feel Better program nationally and internationally. So please help me welcome.
Hello, Stephanie. How are you today?
I am doing great, and thank you so much for visiting with me here and the listeners, the viewers of the Main Health Show.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here today.
Well, thank you. I know you're very busy and you're doing so much with the program. I could go on reading the different things about the program, but can you just share a little bit, and as much as you want to, about the Look Good, Feel Better program, please?
Of course, would love to do that. We have a program, Look Good, Feel Better, which helps primarily women, but also men and teenagers to really understand and be able to learn how to manage the appearance side effects from cancer treatment. And for those of you who have not had that experience or been around someone who has, that can include some pretty dramatic changes in your skin and the tone and the texture of your skin. Sometimes there's extreme dryness. It can also include loss of hair, which is what a lot of people think about when they hear a diagnosis of cancer and follow-up treatment. And the hair can be your lashes, your brows, the hair on your head, the hair all over your body. So combined, those two things, we really come together with the beauty industry and with some amazing volunteers, and I use the word amazing with great emphasis, who are all around the country, who are beauty professionals who help to facilitate our programs. We offer services primarily through in-person. Of course, during the pandemic, that didn't happen, and I'll come back to that, but in-person workshops that are typically offered in hospital settings. So where patients go to receive their treatments is where we are bringing our workshops to them. And our volunteers facilitate a 2-hour class that teaches them all about things that they can do within their control with common supplies that they might have in their homes, with cosmetics and skincare products, with scarves and hats and wigs, to really manage and take that particular issue about their cancer treatment off the table so they can focus on getting well. We also do provide services online. So lookgoodfeelbetter.org is our website. And on that website, you find a number of different videos that will provide you specific instruction on particular subjects within our Look Good, Feel Better program. And then there is also information about our virtual workshops, which is how we pivoted very quickly during the pandemic. We already were offering virtual workshops for about a year, I would say, and it was really supplemental to what we were doing in person. When COVID hit and the world shut down, we had to stop those in-person programs, and we began offering live streaming virtual workshops. That's based on the content in our in-person programming, but we've added some expanded content as well to really try to address as many needs as possible that people might have during the course of their treatment, knowing that a lot of other types of support programs have been shut down. So I'll stop there. Maybe Stephanie has a few questions, and I don't want to monopolize the whole discussion.
Well, no, actually, I will share this, that it's great that you guys had already kind of prepared for the virtual, not knowing what was going to befall us in 2020, but a year prior actually started hosting the virtual workshops. And I will share that back in 2010, that I was a facilitator for some years here in San Antonio. So I know how important it is to be able to have the workshops and how effective the face-to-face are, but still I can imagine how effective the virtual are. And you guys didn't have to really miss a beat to be able to assist people. Because in my promo, I said that a lot of things stopped, but the diagnosis of cancer didn't. So still people that needed to be assisted. So that's great.
We were lucky, and I'm so pleased that we had the foresight to plan and begin to offer those virtual programs at the time that we did, because we were prepared, and we were also able to quickly scale what we were doing so that all of the women who were participating in those in-person programs could immediately move over into virtual classes. Within a 4 to 6 week window, they could get those classes that they needed. Often women come to us, and teens and men as well, but the people who are participating come to us once they start to see the symptoms and the side effects of those cancer treatments. So they start to see the skin effect, or they start to see hair falling out. And at that moment, it's very scary. And so we wanted to be able to get them into those programs as quickly as possible. So we were very pleased. We were set and ready to go. And lucky in many ways that it didn't have to cause a disruption in service.
That's amazing. And that is truly a testament to the forethought that you guys had, because I remember something you said, and it's so true. Maybe sometimes people only think about the hair loss, but there are so many changes that one undergoes when they're undergoing the rigors of chemotherapy. Not only is it subsequent hair loss, but the skin changes, the nail bed changes.
Yes.
There's so many things that we normally don't think about that happens to a person. So the workshops were actually an opportunity for us to have a session to kind of actually be a learning opportunity, but also to have a little interject some fun there.
Yes.
And so I always enjoyed it. I looked forward to, matter of fact, it's correct. I was a cancer research center here in San Antonio that I partnered with another stylist, and we would tag team. We had so much fun and helping the ladies and opening up their kits. There were, and you're going to hopefully share information about kits and different
things
that they receive. But we went through some extensive training, which helped to prepare us as professionals. We were cosmetologists, so we know about hair, but it just helped us to be able to share with the attendees and to be able to help them to feel at ease and to kind of integrate themselves, because I'd always say that they found themselves in a sorority of sisters that they didn't necessarily they didn't go through rush week.
So true.
They didn't plan on, but it was such a beautiful cohesiveness, because you had different women at different stages of their chemotherapy. So as we would share, we would always open up for, well, when I had this going on, someone would say, well, we did this and this worked for us. So it was a very good opportunity for them to also share amongst themselves. So.
Well, two things that you just mentioned that I want to call out. And one of them is your description of the workshop is the same description that you hear everywhere. No matter what part of the country you're in, no matter what country you're in, because we're also global in 26 countries outside the US, the same kinds of things happen. And often it's mostly a result of really amazing volunteers who come in with a positive, fun spirit, and they engage the women in ways that throughout their treatment and any of the other settings they find themselves, they don't get the same experience as they find in Look Good, Feel Better. It's educational, it's practical information that's being shared, but it's also lots of fun. And women are enjoying one another, and they're really creating a community among themselves where, and it's sometimes the only time that they come together with other women who also have cancer, who share similar experiences throughout the course of their treatment. So we're very privileged to be able to help women at that moment in time, and in that way to interject some normalcy and a little bit of fun and some amazing volunteers who make them feel completely different between the time they enter that room and the time they leave that room. And I think you've probably seen this, Stephanie, in all the times you've facilitated, but women come in and they're often a little skeptical. They're not quite sure what they might get from the program. And they're probably telling themselves, I know how to do makeup. I've put makeup on before. I don't know what this might do to help me. And they're a little bit low key is the word I will use when they come in the room, and they're a little shy because they don't know the others necessarily. By the time we are 10 minutes in and they've opened those kits that you mentioned, and they get a kit of products in that class that gives them an item in each of the 12 signature steps that's taught in the workshop. And those are donated products by big and small beauty industry companies that are very recognizable to everyone. So they're first thrilled. It's like children at Christmas. They open a bag and they're so excited that they have these amazing products. And then they take them out and they begin to learn how to use them. And I would say 10 to 15 minutes into a 2-hour class, they're starting to laugh. They're starting to share, and to your point, sharing some of their stories and their experiences. And they're having fun. And they leave. By the end of the class, they're saying, my husband is coming back to pick me up. I'm going to have him take me to dinner for the first time in months because I feel like $1 million. And so that's the outcome we want. We want that amazing improved morale and the ability to take their situation and grasp it and manage it and control it and move forward.
I would have so much fun, and I'm just reminiscing now. Everything is flooding back when I would be able to facilitate, and they would look amazing. It was like the before and after, and it was like the caterpillar that actually blossomed into a butterfly within that 2-hour session. And then what I would also say is that I really love the interaction, because when someone's actually going through something, even though the program prepared us very well to be able to share and to be able to give, but it hits different when you are having something shared with you for someone who's already experienced it or going through it.
Yes.
I'm effective because I've studied it, or I have been able to share from someone else who went through. But it was much more of an amazing experience when they would share with each other, and they would help to bring a different atmosphere to it. So I enjoyed every month when we would actually have the sessions myself. And those products you mentioned, I will let the viewers know that they weren't no off-brand products. They were some of the leading manufacturers of cosmetics and skincare and nail. Oh my goodness! So it was.
We're very blessed to be in a program that is supported by the beauty industry in significant ways. They provide most of our funding that supports financially the program and our ability to deliver it. And they also donate millions of dollars a year in products, beautiful products that we would all be thrilled to get, or be thrilled to walk into the store and purchase for ourselves. And they're able to use those products as learning tools. So literally hands-on, following along with an instructor who's showing them how to draw on an eyebrow, and using a product that they can actually draw on that eyebrow with and learn hands-on. Our goal is to really empower them to number one, feel empowered in that class, but go home and replicate what they learned, what that volunteer taught them. We can't send a volunteer home with them, but we can certainly send the knowledge that the volunteer imparts and the opportunity to have that hands-on learning experience. Many people learn by doing. So it gives them that opportunity to do so. The volunteers, the one thing I wanted to touch on that you mentioned, and I think has made the program very effective, is the training that the volunteers receive too, because all of our volunteers come to us if they're facilitating or working in a workshop. And to your point, sometimes there's often tag teaming going on where we have a facilitator and maybe 2 or 3 other volunteers who are helping women, around a table. But all of our volunteers come to us as trained beauty professionals. And what we're teaching them is not how to be a trained beauty professional. They know that, and they're coming to us with their credentials, but we're teaching them about what to expect. What happens when a patient is going through treatment and is undergoing a rigorous treatment that may cause hair loss or skin changes, or how are they dealing with that emotionally, and what they might expect in terms of a room full of participants. May have 10 different reactions in that room full of participants, and the way that they're managing their own emotion and their own treatment. And we empower our volunteers to understand that and to be able to work with that group and to be able to bring that group together. And I will say that our volunteers are exceptional at bringing the group together, getting them all involved with one another, helping create that community that the women so love and I think crave in many cases.
Yes, I can definitely attest to that. I was blessed and afforded the opportunity to go through the certification and to become a facilitator, that it really did help to build those skills of interacting with those women who came in seeking assistance from me. So I can really let you know that the training was very effective and very instrumental in being able to develop me into the professional to be able to assist, because it's a special demographic of people that we work with. It's just not someone coming to a beauty salon, but it's someone who, in addition to having a diagnosis that they're dealing with, is now facing losing their hair or facing these different things. So it really behooves someone that's going to do that to really be knowledgeable and work those muscles and the skills to be able to, assist them. So let's talk about the history and the background now. I've always loved, and whoever came up with the name for the program was just amazing, because I believe it speaks volumes. When you look good, you do feel better. Do you have any information about how that originated or how the program actually started?
I wasn't around when they determined the name, but I do have information on how the program began, the sort of the core idea that started this 30 plus year program now. And it started with the Beauty Industries Trade Association. The gentleman who was running the organization at the time had a friend in Philadelphia who was an oncologist, and he got a call. And his friend, who was the oncologist, called and said, I really need some help. I have this young 20-something, lovely, beautiful patient who's very ill. She's undergoing very intensive chemotherapy. She's lost all of her hair. She's become dejected. She's starting to not want to see her friends and family and doesn't really want to do anything. And she's just pulling inward. And I really need someone to come in and help her to at least address her appearance concerns. She thinks she looks awful. She doesn't want to see anyone because she doesn't like the way she looks because of her side effects. Could you help me? And so the Beauty Industry Trade Association gentleman said, yes, I can. And he pulled together some of these amazing beauty professionals we're talking about. And they came to the facility where this young woman was being treated, and they did a makeover. Literally, she was hospitalized at the time. So they literally went into her room and they did a makeover on her, and they taught her how to put on a wig, and they fitted her for a wig that they gave her. They gave her a kit of products, and they taught her how to use those products. And they said that just as we were talking about the transformation you see in women who come to the workshop, it happened in front of them, that she went from feeling downtrodden and depressed and unhappy about her situation in every way to feeling that she was in control and feeling uplifted and feeling like she could suddenly go on with her life. and be a 20-something young woman and not be defined only by being a breast cancer or ovarian cancer. I don't know the form of cancer she had, but being a cancer patient. And so they came away from that and thought, wow, if we can have that kind of an effect on one woman, what would happen if we pulled together and really marshaled the beauty industry's resources to put together a program that helped women everywhere with this kind of an issue? We have the expertise, we have the products, we have the companies that know what they're doing with this. We have beauty professionals who could assist. What are we waiting for? And so they set about starting to develop this program, and they came up with a core concept of what you see in the program today. And it was piloted at Georgetown Lombardi's Cancer Center in Washington, D.C., and at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York. And I think those went about a year. And they wanted to make sure their model worked and that it was really doing what they wanted it to do, which was, number one, provide great information and education for women and support for women, but also create that community effect. And so they ended up at the end of that year with a great model, and they launched the program. And from there, it's rolled out over the course of many, many years, had a number of evolutions, through those years, and additions and new audiences introduced, et cetera. But the core of the program remains the same, in that we want to help patients who have any form of cancer, who are from any community, who have whatever skin tone. If they're men, women, children, we don't care. We want to help them. And we feel like we can bring them some valuable resources to be able to do that.
That is such a beautiful history. And I'm glad that you shared that, because I didn't realize how it actually began. But just like the name of the program, when you aren't feeling well, but sometimes if a lady's down and she just puts on her favorite shade of lipstick, it's not that easy.
Yes.
Losing your hair, that you need to do a little bit something extra. Now we would have those who really weren't interested in the wigs, so it was amazing to even learn how to make head covering out of a t-shirt.
Yes.
I think that was always the showstopper during our sessions. And to be able to tie different head coverings and scarves and different things, just because not everybody wants to, don a wig. But I think it also helps, and we were talking about earlier, taking the stigmatism out of wearing wigs. So I think that this program also kind of helps with that, and helping feel liberated about themselves. And kind of talk about, if you don't mind, how it's kind of branched, because you talked about how it first started in Washington and then in New York, the kind of locations, and then it expanded across the United States. But I understand that the Look Good, Feel Better program is actually international.
We are indeed international. We began in 1989, launched in the US in 1989. And as I mentioned, we had a lot of beauty industry support behind the program. And so there were several big global companies that were involved, and some of their people in global ex-US markets and locations started hearing wind of what was happening. And probably, I guess it was a year later, in 1990, we were able to launch a program in Australia, followed very quickly thereafter by Canada, and soon thereafter by the UK. And then it just sort of snowballed. And they're now, after 30 plus years of this program's existence, there are now about 12 or 13 countries in all of Europe, including the British Isles, and in Scandinavia as well. We have about 7 programs in Latin America, and I'm not throwing Mexico into that grouping. They may throw themselves because of the language similarities, but about 7 countries in Latin America, all of North America, including Mexico, Canada, and the US. South Africa, Israel, New Zealand, so that Australasia location, both Australia and New Zealand have great programs, and Singapore. So Singapore is our only Asian program that's on on the Asian continent per se. So we like to say we have 27 programs on 6 continents around the world. And together we've served, moving very quickly towards about 2.2 million women in our workshops. And that excludes women that we've been able to help by online services with online educational information and instructional video. It doesn't even count those. It's just the women who've come to programs, to workshops.
That is impressive. That is amazing. That is amazing. But one thing that I would say about those of us in the beauty industry, and I'm so glad to be a part of it, there's some very big-hearted, generous. I think because we're artists, we love beautifying and making people feel good. I think that next to a bartender, we like hearing people's problems and helping. So, but I think it just gives to the nature of the type of people who really care enough to be able to donate their time. And actually, I think as you kind of get out of your situation to help someone else, it really blesses you. I mean, I just love the whole concept of the program.
The whole concept of volunteers and what
Yes.
volunteers say about their experiences. You hit it just the nail on the head there, because so many times, and it's so consistent, volunteers say, I think I get so much more out of this program than any of the women that I help, because I go in there and I leave feeling amazing every single time I do this. And just as you pointed out, they will say openly, it feels so good to give to others and to give my talents and my own skills to help others through a really rough time in their lives. And it's a very consistent message we hear from volunteers.
Awesome. Awesome. So I know that the program, and I will say that when I was assisting, we had more women. And actually, I knew that there was a men program and one for teens. I'm kind of wondering, have you get more participation now, because there was very little when I was participating. What are the programs in development for the teens and the men with the Look Good Feel Better program?
Well, we've for many years we had been offering about 18 sites that are pediatric oncology centers around the country. We're offering group workshops, and like everything else, those shut down with COVID, and we have existing online content and instructional video for the teen population. And we blend boys and girls together in the teen program, because it's age 13 to 17. So it's a really critical period in adolescent years for developing who you are, your self-esteem, your confidence, and just your sense of self in general. And a lot of that has to do with just kind of getting used to interacting between boys and girls. So we mix them together and they get along great in those environments. It works really wonderfully. For men, we've never actually had a group face-to-face program like we're talking about. It's been strictly online services via instructional video and content. I will say a couple of our global locations have gotten started some of the workshops. We've had a little challenge in the US. We've done a few pilots, and we've found that in face-to-face environments, men were not as receptive about coming together about this subject. But in online environments, very much so. So our goal for both the teens, and if you have any teenagers in the house, you know this better than anyone, those teens are constantly on that phone, on that computer, online. That's where they live. So we are planning to begin our virtual programs for both men and teens early in 2022, so that they will be able to participate in a group virtual workshop with one another. And we think that particularly with teens, that it will be a huge hit, because that's just where they live their lives. And for men, it offers us a little bit of anonymity. You can come into a virtual program and never turn your camera on if you choose to, or you can turn your camera on and follow along. You can do it however you choose. It's your program and it's your way. So we're planning to launch virtual for both of them this year. And I think we'll have a great pickup. We've seen in our global affiliate locations where they're offering those in-person programs, they've had a pretty good response of men who are interested in a subject matter and have physically come together. So we may expand from there if we see that there's a lot of interest in those virtual programs. But we're excited to expand the virtual platform for those two audiences.
Well, I'm excited to hear about those, because those were actually two not underserved, because I know that we were capable and ready to, but it seems like that those were just the two groups that we weren't really able to assist very much. So it's exciting to know that things are in the work and expansions are coming. So we have something to look forward to in 2022.
Yes, absolutely.
So, another thing that I'm excited about is the annual ball. Kind of tell us a little bit about what that is and how things are a little bit different this year, and I think last year as well.
And certainly last year as well. We every year, the biggest fundraiser that we do, biggest event that we do for Look Good, Feel Better, and it raises a significant amount of the money that supports the program, is an event called the Beauty Cares Dream Ball. And the Dream Ball is in September. It's traditionally been the third week of September. And up until 2020, it was a gala event in New York at a physical location, which was attended by about 400, maybe 450 industry executives, primarily from the beauty industry, from retailers, from the intersections of retailers and suppliers for the beauty industry. And that event last year, because of COVID, we of course couldn't physically come together. So last year we did our first ever virtual Beauty Cares Dream Ball. And what that did, and this is my silver lining and glass half full perspective, is that platform gave us a tremendous opportunity to expand our audience. We were always confined by the physical space we were in. We could only host about 400 people in that room, and maybe 450 if it was really packed in tightly. But last year we had almost 800 people participate in the event, so doubled the number. And what it did is also allow us to include all of our volunteers, our hospital partners, and the health professionals that work for them, so that they too could see and feel, because it's a very emotional and fun and exciting event. They could see and feel what that event was all about and participate in it. So once we did that, we taped it last year. We recorded it just like we're recording today's discussion, and we posted it on the website. And since then, there's been probably another 1,000, maybe 1,200, 1,500 people who have purposely gone in and watched the video of the event. So they've also been exposed to the Dream Ball. But it honors a couple of different, probably anywhere from 3 to 5 industry executives, I would say, but also survivors. This year, for example, we will be honoring a couple of big icons in the industry, but also probably a really well-known survivor, Bershawn Shaw. She is a TV personality. She's an author. She's a 2-time breast cancer survivor. And she is, I think she's on a quote friend on the Real Housewives of New York. She's very good friends with one of the regular cast members. So she's occasionally a guest on that show as well. But she's an amazing, inspiring woman. And we will be honoring Bershawn, but we're also honoring, we would say, one of the icons of the beauty industry, which is Leonard Lauder, who was the son of Estee Lauder, is the son of Estee Lauder, one of 2 sons of Estee Lauder. And he is now the chairman emeritus of the Estee Lauder companies. He's also the honorary chair of the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. And he's an author. He's just published a book last fall about his life in the beauty industry. And you talk about a guy who has amazing stories, who's really shaped what the beauty industry is today. If it's Leonard Lauder is the man. He is well known, not only within the beauty industry, but outside as well. So he will be receiving the Legacy Award. And then we are also honoring a woman who I admire so much, AC Eggleston Bracey, who is the COO of Unilever's beauty group in North America. And she is an amazing, very passionate leader and champion of a range of different things that she's done with the company since she started. But the last year, her focus has been on the 2 big issues of our last year, which was the pandemic and providing some resources during the pandemic. Unilever's beauty brands were able to really turn over a lot of their production to hand sanitizer to really help when nobody could find hand sanitizer. But they were also, AC in particular was very, very influential, I would say, and had great foresight in helping to create the Crown Act And the Crown Act isn't about eliminating, see, you know exactly what it is, but it's about eliminating any kind of negative workforce environments for anyone who wears their hair ethnic. If, for example, your hair which looks absolutely gorgeous, it would prevent anyone from ever saying to you, I'm sorry, you can't wear those braids. And they're starting to pass that in laws around the country. So she's been very involved in diversity, equity, and inclusion issues throughout the year, and also women's empowerment issues. So AC will receive our Passionate Leadership Award. So we're very excited to get this train going.
Yes, yes. I mean, you're talking about beauty industry royalty and icons and those people who are really making a difference. So
absolutely.
Got my invitation. I made sure that I've already RSVP'd. I plan on.
Please.
Yes.
We hope everyone will. It's open. You can participate. There's no charge of any sort to dial in and watch. We hope if you love what we're doing, that you'll consider donating to the event that helps support. As I mentioned, it's one of the primary support vehicles for the program. But we also want to educate you. We want to engage you and educate people and have everyone understand how they can contribute, whether it's by volunteering, by making a financial contribution, by spreading the word to someone who needs the information. There's any number of ways that you can help. And we welcome all of them.
Well, thank you. And I want to give you an opportunity before we wrap up, because I want you to share more, how people, if they're interested in learning more about the Feel Better program itself, contact information, and definitely where they can find out information about the upcoming Dream Ball, when that's going to be, and where they can go about registering and signing up for that. But before we do that, is there anything extra that maybe we didn't cover? I think we hit a lot.
We did cover a lot. Yes, we did. And I thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share all this information. But I think that what we would like to maybe leave the audience with is that this is a critical program. We view it as a very important, and I think the health professionals that we interact with would agree that it's a very important support program, one of many that patients can find and access during the course of treatment, but it is unique in what it does and in the scale of what it does, both being a global program. We're the only global cancer support program that focuses on helping people feel better about themselves and improve their appearance during treatment. So it's an important support mechanism for women. We want to always be there for women, men, teens, for everyone who needs support and this service that we are offering. As I mentioned, if you want to engage, we welcome many forms of engagement. You can find us on lookgoodfeelbetter.org, and that is the Look Good Feel Better website. There's a contact us page, and if you send us an email, we'll be responding very quickly back to you with answers or referring you to the appropriate resources. And also there is a Dream Ball page. Under About Us, under Events, you can find the information about the Dream Ball. Also, our virtual workshops. If you're a patient or you're a health provider and you'd like your patients to receive the opportunity to participate in Look Good Feel Better, you can find those virtual workshops on the website, as well as our in-person once they start, which is not until this fall, but once they restart, then they can find both those in-person as well as the virtual programs, and that's right on the homepage. And then, of course, there's a number of wonderful stories that you can watch and hear about on that site, that from our survivors, from our volunteers, that give you a sense of what Look Good Feel Better is. If you're a friend, a family member, the mother, daughter, husband, wife, whatever it might be, of a potential participant, there's information for you there as well. So.
Well, there you have it. You've given so much information that will readily assist our viewership and anyone that they can share that information with too. I just want to say I have thoroughly enjoyed visiting with you, Luanne. Thank you for taking out of time out of your busy schedule to visit with me and the audience here at Maine Health. And
thank you. It's been lovely to spend time with a longstanding volunteer who really knows this program. And thank you so much for helping us share the information. We really appreciate you giving us your platform to do that.
Well, thank you. And this is going to be all for this episode of the Main Health Show. This is Stephanie Anderson. Stay blessed. Until next time. Bye-bye.